Welcome everyone to a new podcast that I think we're going to call The Fiend, with myself, Charlie Yang, and Blitz Dota, as well as guest GrandGrant. It's going to be pretty much a constant, hopefully, podcast that we're going to be doing every 2 weeks, maybe every month, depending on our schedules, about all the Dota current events. Start with Blitz. Blitz, how you been, man? I know this past couple of weeks has probably been a little bit rough for you since Planet Odd.
No, dude. Best week of my life.
Best week? Yeah.
Everything's going as planned.
What have you been up to since
Making content for ungrateful Redditors.
I saw that you did your day 9 work. You subbed in for Purge and coaching day 9. How did that go?
It was pretty good. I enjoyed working with him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, you got your chance to whoop my ass in a 1v1 mid.
Yeah, it was like
thank you for that.
Transparent attempt at getting a last minute invite as a caster.
Damn. Cap, didn't I
Jesus.
last Chinese tournament, didn't I before we casted one of the games, didn't I beat you 3 times in a row 1v1?
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Jesus Christ, Grant. When did your mic get so loud?
I don't know. I didn't change it.
Jesus, man.
I mean, I didn't change it.
I'm not the only one, right?
Dude, no, it's loud, but honestly, out of all the 1v1s that you've won, beating Capitalist is the one that you're going to boast about.
Yeah, dude,
Remember
you beat
that
Fear
one time
1v1.
you
Come on.
beat Fear drunk?
He was pretty, I mean, he's a decent player, but, I just bring a higher class of competition to the table.
Jesus
Yeah, man.
Christ.
It was a good time.
Grant, could you turn down your mic a
Dude,
little
what
bit
the
for
fuck?
me?
You're drinking NOS?
Yeah, how do I turn this down?
Who the fuck drinks NOS? I mean,
Dude, it's 2017. Go get some Monster.
just do it by your microphone.
Who the fuck?
I don't think I can. It's a lot. Wait, does this work, or is that turning my sound down?
You drink whatever the fuck you want, Grant.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Is it better?
I mean, it's not quite as loud.
I don't know if it got better or if I'm just getting used to it.
Well, I click audio options and it doesn't work.
I think we just got used to it, that's all. Anyway,
Here, wait, I got an idea. What if I do this?
Oh, that's a little bit better, I guess.
Sure.
All right, there. Perfect.
Great job, Grant. Charlie, how have you been?
Well,
You actually had your run of events as well. Not being talent, but you just went to a lot of events.
yeah. Took a lot of meetings at different places. A couple events ended up in front of the camera. That was fun, but really, honestly, I just want to be home in front of my computer in my boxers, not doing anything for a good while before I go to TI. That's it. So it's just been a lot of fucking video games and calls.
You talk a little bit about why were you at those events anyway?
I mean, I represent players and teams now, and then occasionally, really rich people that want to get into esports call me up and they're like, "Hey, how can I get into esports?" I slap them in the dick and say, "This is not an industry that you want to get into." And then they pay me money, and then that's how it goes.
Wow, you're really doing esports a great service there, Charlie. Thank you from half of all of us.
Yes.
For warding people away from esports.
You think you guys are worth any money? Look at you idiots.
Dude, I heard a lot of the esports people want to get into Paladins. Is that true? That game?
That shitty game?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've heard people do.
I mean, let's be real. I'll be completely honest. Everybody's selling all sorts of bullshit for esports right now. The valuations for holy shit, whose mic is that?
Yeah, I think it's Grant. Grant, move your mic back to, because now your microphone's reaching for noise, I think.
Okay, what about now? I'll just talk quieter.
Oh my fucking god. Alright, test.
Do you not have a in your
No, it's this. It's a Logitech. It has this for my sound.
No, in your recording on your actual computer.
Oh, let me see. I don't work on computers. Where do I go for this?
Bottom right, go to the little the little
sound.
sound. Right click that one. Go to recording devices.
All right, I'm there.
All right. Go
All
to
right,
the
I'm gonna
recording.
click on that one.
I don't work on
Levels.
computers.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's like going up as I talk. What the fuck?
Yeah, that means that's
What about now?
so. Go to properties, go to levels, and turn it down.
Yeah, I did. Hello?
All right, that is so much better. Holy shit. I mean, I still hear it a little, but
What do you hear? Is it my fan? Should I turn off my fan?
I just hear a bunch of static.
Let me turn it down more then. Wait up.
It's like white noise or something.
And that's
Hello?
the beautiful Grant. Welcome to the show, Grant.
Thanks.
I'm glad we had you on first. Grant, you've been kicking some ass. Maybe not in the technical PC department, but at least events, you've been getting a lot of love. You went
Yeah.
to, what was the event that Manila Masters?
Manila Masters? Yeah, that was cool. My first, I guess it wasn't my first event because we did that Canadian land with Moonduck before that, but this was the first event where, people actually decide to show up and watch. I mean, no one was at the Canada land, so it was, it was cool being in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't we all there?
Oh,
No, Blitz wasn't.
Will wasn't. Wait, you weren't either, Charlie, were you?
Yeah, it was.
At Manila Mass? I didn't see you.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Canada one. Never
Oh, the
mind.
Canada one. Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't at Manila.
Oh, the Canada one was great. Yeah, that was great. Manila Masters, yeah, that was cool. It was my first actual big event. It went over pretty well. I mean, nothing crazy. It's pretty hard to mess up if you just follow the Conrad plan, which I did.
The say nothing.
Say nothing except if you, I'm getting good with buzzwords now. It's simple. You got to use laning phase is a good one. I use that a lot. I love the laning phase. That's it. And then the summit and then the hub, that was cool. I like those events more. I like the more casual atmosphere where you can kind of just be yourself and you're not being told what to do. The entire time, what can I say? Can I say this? Can I say that? And then you just sit on a couch and are like, sup, dumbasses, and it's just way better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Remember
when you tried to get that duck to suck you off?
Yeah, I love that. Missed that duck.
Anything goes. Anything goes on the summit.
And then that duck broke. R.I.P.
Rob got a new one.
Okay, good. A little smaller one. More to my taste. Hello?
I don't have a response to that, man.
Cap, hello? Are you there?
Grant, can you turn yourself down just a bit
Again?
more, dude? Yeah, dude.
I think it's turning itself up.
It is not doing that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
No, it definitely did. I was at 25 and now, okay. Is that good?
Yeah, it's better.
Sure. All
What?
right. I think
Talk to speak on this would be easier. Do they have that?
I don't think so. Zoom doesn't have a lot of audio options.
All right, we're gonna go into our first little bit here, Grant. The majors qualifiers. We're gonna start with the North American qualifiers, which is probably a bit of a painful subject, but it's the one that we all know the most anyway. NP top of the group. DC ended up winning through playoffs. Planet Odd probably one of the favorites, not able to make it through playoffs. And I guess we had the story of Team Freedom as well, who came so close to actually being able to make it to TI, which was one hell of a story if they had actually made it.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I don't think it's any secret. We were all rooting for Freedom. Would have been a great story if all those guys, most of which who had never really been at a TI, made it there. Dark Horse, bunch of good guys, up and comers too.
And we had CCNC on that team, which is where a lot of our support. I mean, we got to play with him on Veggies. He's a fantastic mid, and it all came down to one game, right, Grant? If they just beat Team Red.
Yeah, that was the very first game. I was casting it with Lacoste. Oh man, that was their very first game, and they got slaughtered by Team Red. They ran the MVP 5 melee heroes, and they just lost to it. They just lost going to TI. That's still bad. Losing to Jenkins to not go to TI. I mean, I'm not flaming Jenkins, but losing to Jenkins is the reason you don't go to TI. That's be rough.
Lost to Wilson too, the gatekeeper.
Yeah, lost to Lost to a guy who's stuck sitting in chairs in tournament rooms now. He just didn't deserve to go, I guess. I don't know.
Who did Wilson gatekeep last time?
I don't remember. He said, was it Cole?
Complexity, yeah.
Yeah. Cole won every single group stage match, including against
EG, yep.
EG, and then they lost to, and then they got knocked out by DC, and then in a best of 5, where game 5 they should have won because we had ran into Fountain with Death Prophet.
Yep, that was last TI, right?
Yeah, they had like 40 different chances to
great
get in a TI, and they lost all of them. That sucked.
Gotta play when it counts. That's why DC's at TI 5-4. They lost to like, I don't know. That was just a weird group stage in general, right? Because Complexity lost to Wheel 3 times, and they still managed to like score out, or is it just 2? I don't know.
Some shit.
It's crazy. They almost got qualified too after losing to Wheel twice. I guess Dota the 2's just got Swindle's number.
Well,
Think Swindle's gonna retire after that?
no.
I mean, I kind of get the feeling that he's gonna retire eventually, right? Like, there's only so many losses he can deal with.
I mean, I think he'll retire when Dota's no longer like financially viable for him. I mean, like that guy stuck it out with Han for a long time because honestly, I think he was at the top there. It was still making him money. And I think he'll keep on going until either like Cole doesn't pay him anymore or the game just dies itself.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'd say he might is because, I mean, Breaky has probably known him the longest out of anyone. And Breaky's like, if they lose this, if they don't qualify, Swindle's going to retire. And I'm like, you really think so? And he's like, yeah, I'm almost positive.
I mean, what the fuck else are like what is
What's
he gonna do?
Yeah,
what is he gonna do?
I know he wants to get into the actual talent part of Dota.
Doing what?
Casting. I mean,
Jesus, I've seen his one-time paneling. That was a disaster.
Wait, when was this?
At Shanghai Major, right? With
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
James and all
right.
that, yeah.
You know, at that
he went
major,
on for Epicenter too.
at that major, Crow said he was a top 5 offlaner.
So, I mean,
Swindles?
Yeah, at Shanghai. He said Swindles played like a top 5 offlaner.
Well, that was the event they did the best in.
Yeah, he
Well,
did.
it was
he did
like-
play
it was
very
even-
well at that event.
It was after we played. Liquid played them in the groups when I was coaching them, and after that match, he said, "Man, Swindles is actually really legit." But the funny part was like we went on Reddit and he was just getting flamed like crazy, and you know, because it's Swindles on Reddit, so it was like everyone's like, "Man, Swindles is garbage," and Carl's like, "Nah, he played really well."
yeah, he was the best player on their team, right? In the qualifiers too. His Earthshaker like solo carried so many games. Like, I thought he was the best player on Cole for sure. Yeah, I think he played like the best single hero in the tournament when he was on Earthshaker.
Yeah, I don't know. I would actually be pretty surprised if he retired, mostly because like I don't know what else he would do. Like I think like if Cole is going to keep on paying him and having him live in that nice house in Florida, like sure he loses and he doesn't get to every event, but you know, he's still making a living doing what he loves.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, he should pull a PPD. I'm like, I don't think he can do that. First off, doesn't Cole still like have their owner? He's not trying to get rid of Cole.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a completely different thing. People are just like, he should be PPD. I'm like, okay, we'll see how that works.
That's
Yeah,
not a
it's not how it works.
the EG scenario is a very rare and weird one.
Yeah.
Like shit like that just doesn't happen. You don't just get a giant brand like placed in your lap.
Yeah, I mean, Cap, you're the like you've hosted before. Like, if Swindle panel, do you think like his kind of flamey more like he reminds me of PPD in a way? He flames when he's on panel, but he seems way more over the top than Peter. Would you like that on panel?
I mean, I like it. It's kind of my style as well. I think that having strong opinions is good for panel. I think it creates discussions and creates usually just moments, right? That's what all paneling is. It's the time between game 1 and game 2. So moments are all that matters. Those little things that make you laugh or, you know, maybe rage or whatever. Like, as long as it's entertaining, as long as it's interesting, then it works. And I think Swindles knows how to be entertaining. when he wants to. So.
I think the only difference between him and Peter is going to be is that Peter has more of like he has more achievements and pedigree to back up whatever he says. There can be like I can definitely see like Swindle's getting on a panel and just getting the shit flamed out of him by like whatever.
I think that's true, but it's still better accomplishments than most other panelists.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, I personally would love it. Like I think it's fine, but
Me too. I mean, he's gonna get flamed. I mean, he could probably have done like the DC and got second at TI, and he would still get flamed that he got carried by his brother to second place at a TI. Like, there's no winning for him either way.
I mean, like that's the thing about the internet, right? Like people have an opinion about you, and like the cognitive dissonance between what they believe and what they see and what happens is like so great. It's like hard to change those things.
Yeah.
All right, moving away from Swindle's, I guess the last thing to talk about for the NA qualifier Blitz is Planet Odds. And, I mean, you guys were doing, like, a documentary at the time, right?
Yeah, we had Haley who shoots some content from BTS come out. It was good times. I actually really liked him. It was fun to work with him, but... I mean, what do you want to know?
I mean, any stories that you...
Are you disbanding?
I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody on the team for... I guess the last person I talked to was Rezo. Because we just talk all the time. I have no idea what anybody wants to do. Yeah, I mean, we just talk about fitness shit. We just compare games.
You guys are going to Dream... I mean, the team's going to DreamHack, right?
Yeah, everything's booked. Like, I'm going there too, so I don't know what's changed or whatever. I guess we'll talk about it when we meet in person. Like, when we talk in person, we'll kind of figure out, like, what went wrong and stuff like that. Like, after we lost, everyone just kind of, like, did their own thing for a bit. Because, you know, you don't really want to... I mean, it's, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Heartbreak City.
It's okay. We didn't mean to bring it back up. It's
whatever.
Oh,
Life goes on.
Yeah. No, I think the biggest thing I noticed now that, I mean, from my perspective of watching people stream when they do, is Moon Meander has started streaming a lot, no webcam. Last time we saw this is when he got kicked off his last team. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to imply anything. But the old Moon is slowly creeping back in. Are you worried about that?
Oh, no. Everyone's... It's like... This is like the most emo time anyone's ever going to be for the next, like, 3 weeks. Everyone's super irrational. Like, what else are you going to do, right? You have nothing to do, so you put out content and you just do other shit because, like...
All right. South American qualifiers then. We had Infamous. I know GrandGrant, you probably have lots to say about this. Your boy Tomato.
Oh, yeah. I think the biggest thing is, and not just Tomato, I think the weirdest thing was going into this, I know I was talking with like some of the other people at the hub or whatever, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I picked, for my SA spot, I picked SG, and I'm like, do you guys like watch the events anymore? Like, people were still picking based off of their one win over Secret, which was just them having a hot tournament for one day, and it like blew my mind. And then, of course, the playoffs happened, and Infamous 3-0s them, 2-0s them, just destroys Brazil, doesn't lose a game. They only lost a game to Elite Wolves, who they didn't have to play in the playoffs, and it was actually super easy for them. They just kept picking Viper.
You just answered your own question, Grant.
Cool.
Like, does anybody actually watch those games? And the answer is, for the most part, no.
No, yeah. And now finally people like the Alliance fanboys, right? They were just at the final match, and Infamous got last place to a bunch of like tier 4 teams, so now everyone's like, well, this is garbage. They're garbage. Pretty much everyone's garbage.
I mean, everyone's garbage at one point or another. Like, I think like there's no team that's like consistently top tier throughout the entire year at every single event they play. There's going to be dips in performance always, no matter who you are. Even EG has them. Arguably one of the more consistent ones. Both EG and OG have those dips.
Yeah, that's what I told Tomato. He was asking, he's like, dude, we just got like washed by Alliance and then Elite Wolves against the only team like beats them in their region. And he's like, dude, Arena 7, like, dude, you have a month until TI. Like, do you know how much shit's gonna happen? So many people are gonna come to NA. I'm sure you're gonna get scrims. All these teams, like even for DreamHack, right? Secret and Liquid will probably stay over here after that.
I know
keep
OG's
their head up. Is here, yeah.
Yeah, OG's already here, and then I heard a couple other teams are coming over the next day
almost
or two.
Everybody is going to be here.
After DreamHack, I think,
yeah.
I got to ask the coach that team for TA.
Who?
Infamous?
Yeah, you heard who their coach is now, right?
Who?
Rhymes with Timmy Joe. Jimmy Ho. It's Demon.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I got asked and then
what I've heard.
I didn't reply for like 6 days.
Too emo.
They
So it was
moved
just me,
on.
you know?
It's
Yeah, and I was like,
yeah. I just found it strange because Boris was coaching him through the qualifiers. I don't know if he just didn't want to go to TI or if they just bailed on him for some guy who got top 6 at TI, but found that kind of weird because I know they're really close, but who knows?
I don't know. How do you think Jimmy's going to do as a coach?
With 3 people who speak minimal English and 2, I mean, they do. They
Is it
just,
really
like,
that bad?
I mean, it's not like the best. I think Excel and Tomato speaks fluently, and I think Excel is decent, but I mean, like Tekka does not speak much English at all.
No.
I think that'll be the biggest thing. I mean, obviously they'll have people in Tomato will just tell him, but I don't know if that's like Jimmy's style. He wants to be like, you know, joke around, goof around with them, be like that. You can't do it if they don't understand you, kind of thing.
you know,
Weird.
it was that was like part of the reason that motivated me not to coach them is because I remember before TI we were thinking about getting what was it, Ice from Wings to coach us,
Mhm.
and then we realized like the way that we were gonna do it is that Moon would just translate, but it's a weird position to put a player in. For one, it's like you're adding another duty to a player.
It's a weird position to put a coach in too.
Yeah, it's like you don't know what's getting lost in translation as well.
And you can't have like one-on-ones with players. You can't. There's so much you can't do if you just need a translator there the entire time.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. Like I hope Jimmy does well, but like I can't see, like, it's hard to see him in a coaching position to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. It's not his personality, at least to me, like knowing him.
I mean, like it's a position where you got to put in a lot of work. If you look at like somebody like fucking Mad, who arguably is like the most successful coach right now, like I see him and he's like, he works individually with like every single player. He pores over replays and notes like all the time. He's like incredibly hardworking. That's never really sort of been Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
It's not
I've
a very
heard in the first-
glamorous role either. You're
Yeah.
just sitting back and telling other people how to play. I mean, Jimmy's somebody who wants to play himself.
But like, then who else would you get though if you needed like a Peruvian player? Like, I can think of players, but which of them are going to be like good coaches? Like close friend, like who can kind of be their coach? I don't know.
Who knows? I mean,
There's just no one in SA really. That they're all young, like super young still, and the ones that aren't young are just banned.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, you just need somebody that players will listen to. I think that's the most important thing right now. And then that person has to work really hard.
Hold up, does that ban extend to coaching?
Yes, they
Management
cannot
as well?
go to TI. I know they're like not. I mean, they can go as like general admission and stuff, but they are not allowed in. like, other
Damn,
stuff.
damn, that's fucking rough.
I mean, it's the same in CS:GO, right? When there was a player, I think it was Steel,
Mhm.
that was trying to coach one of the teams. He was trying to coach like Cloud9, and Valve straight up said like, "Hey, you can't have him as your coach. He can't be
Yeah.
involved in any capacity in the event."
That shit's rough, man.
Hey guys, you know what the solution is though? Don't match fix. That's like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hey guys,
I-
stop match fixing.
This general PSA: don't match fix.
Yeah, I know.
Don't
I know
match fix.
it's been talked about a lot, but I mean, I know one of their players was 14 at the time when that happened, and he said like, "Yeah, I had to get food for my parents. They couldn't afford food." I was like, I mean, you still can't cheat, but the fact that they get a permanent ban while someone, how old Solo? Like 22, much older, knows the consequences. He just gets pretty much away scot free. Seems a little bit odd.
Hey, he got banned from Starladder for a year.
Yeah. Wow. That just seems weird. Like,
Rough life.
I understand. Oh, Solo was first. He didn't know. I mean, he didn't know cheating was bad or something. But the next people, they're gonna know. It's like a 14-year-old kid trying to get Brad. Like, oh Jesus.
You know, like the other interesting question is like, will this ban extend to the minors and the majors for next year? Because they're not
Almost
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think they will. But you know, it's just like before you could at least play in third-party tournaments.
Yep.
Now you're just kind of fucked.
Yeah, because like they could play an epicenter. That's gonna obviously be a major or a minor. They're out of that one. They're just pretty much out of every tournament that's not an SA.
Well, South American players still, like the ones that got banned, they still play quite a bit, right? Like I see Smash playing all the time.
Yeah, they still play Dota. Smash still streams.
And when you invested that much time into it, what else are you gonna do?
I guess just hope for some sort of change in Valve's mind, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon.
I don't think that's happening.
No.
Yeah, I know we're talking about South American qualifiers. I think the biggest thing was it was on Brazilian servers again, and it seems like every time that happens, it's gone back and forth. Right, Unknown won the first time, got invited to the first major. They had to play on bad ping, and then SG won, and now Peru won again. I know Peru and Brazil hate each other more than a lot of Americans hate Peru and stuff. So sweeping the tournament while on like 170 ping, I think they feel pretty good about that. It's crazy you have to play that bad on ping.
Talking about hate and rivalries, we have a rivalry between the North American second place team DC and the South American winners, right? King Tekka and Bulba.
Oh yeah,
they're telling me about this.
Yeah, apparently they legitimately hate each other, and like there's a video out there. King Teg is like, if I see Bulba in real life, I'm actually gonna strangle him. They're like, are you kidding? He's like, no, I'm actually going to. It was like 8 months ago in the video, so I'm sure it's different now. But
yeah, I'd love to see that.
I'll follow ask Tomato for it. We'll see. King Teg is a giant teddy bear. I got a Snapchat of him just sleeping. He just looks like a little bear, but online it's a little bit different.
Yo, Grant. So I heard you have a chart of everybody that plays on like the North American servers or whatever, of who flames who hates who.
Oh yeah, you told me about this too.
Yeah, I used to keep it in Notepad, and then I just stopped doing it. I just remembered it in my head, and now I like look back at it, and I'm really sad that I like didn't start. Pretty much the whole chart says everyone hates Nasco is the big thing right now. Everyone literally nobody. He played games last night. I was casting pubs, and just everyone hates him. All the TI people are teasing. He's like, I just don't want to win. He doesn't deserve to win. I'd rather lose than him win.
Nasco's the guy that's super racist, right?
Yeah,
super
his
racist.
name is very. We're not allowed to say his name right now. That's how bad it is.
I remember he was using his mic. I played with him in a pub. I actually made a tweet about him. I said like Trump supporters play Dota or the Donald supporters play Dota, and we were winning or something, and then he just started throwing, and he said some really unsavory stuff because we had one Peruvian guy who was like super nice, was buying all the wards and stuff, and then Nasco just I'm like, how is this guy allowed to play Dota? Like this is the first time I think I've actually considered contacting somebody from Valve to like personally take a look at this shit.
It's bad. I mean, it's going to be seen a lot, right? With everyone coming over. I honestly could see something happening to him with everyone coming to NA to play pubs and all that before TI. At least everyone's going to experience that. People say, oh, SCA is way harder to play on than NA. Until you've dealt with like a Nasco UR team, you haven't seen the worst of pubs.
What do you mean? I've never lost with UR on my pub.
Nasco and UR on the same team.
Oh, I see.
Trust me, it's a real trait.
I've lost with UR when he decided to play the 4-position Rubik while I played hard 5 Night Stalker and bought all the wards because he refused to do so.
Yeah,
I remember watching that game.
Yeah, that was.
That was at the hub.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. He was like, guys, what are we doing? I was like, well, I'm buying wards. I don't know what you're doing in this game.
Yeah, I remember that.
That is my favorite part. All the pubs get like, it's literally like, oh, like 2 members of OG, 2 of EG, 2 of Liquid, and then like just like a random like Yawar, and then like just a random just like 7K player that nobody on NA likes, but like they don't know that. Like, because like in China, you can go there and pub, you don't know anyone. Here, you're going to know that guy real quickly, and he's going to be in all your games if you keep queuing at night. And I love asking Jack what like the Chinese players hate, like who they hate. And they don't name names, but apparently they hate a lot of people.
Do you remember when
Oh, no, they definitely name names. It's Jack that doesn't name names.
You're probably right, which is weird. Jack said they love playing with 747 and Stan King. And he's like, oh, they hate a lot of people too. I'm like, oh, okay. That's it.
Did you see? It was like I remember I was in a cab or some shit with Mid1, and he had made like a Facebook post about BSJ.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, if I ever get BSJ in my games, like I'll fucking kill myself. Like I can't stand it. He's like, this might be the worst player I've ever played Dota with in my entire life. I was like, holy shit.
Holy shit.
BSJ is quite the polarizing figure. I think it's just because he's so active in
he's like
game.
Swindle. He puts himself out there.
Yeah, he's very vocal about what he thinks should be done in the game, and you know, he's not always going to be right. So,
Yep.
all right, rolling forward. European and CIS qualifiers. We had Team Secret taking first place in their group. Team Dog, who didn't even make it out of qualifier number 1, open qualifier number 1, made it through an open qualifier number 2, and actually made it through the whole entire playoffs. Swift Ending, Kaiser, Milan, Blitz. I know you've played with some of them when we were both in Germany for Join Dota. I have as well. I mean, this is a group of guys that have just been playing Dota for a really long time and just been kind of grinding through tier 3, tier 4, tier 75 teams and just kind of grinding through, and now they're going to TI.
Yeah, I mean, I watched almost all their games. They had a lot of good concepts actually that I don't know if a lot of teams know of. Like they were one of the first teams that we saw use like Lycan as a counter to Night Stalker. Stuff like that. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. We think we both had a talk about that.
Explain it for me. How does it counter?
Howl.
So it's like, you know, you NS pops nighttime and then you just howl and your wolves give constant vision to counter out the, because you need to play the vision game against Night Stalker, and there's very few heroes that can do it. It's like Nature's Prophet, the boar or the hawk sucks because the hawk just dies, right, and it doesn't see anything. But the wolves actually have high move speed. They can scout around the map. They can always check Roche for you, and then on top of that, the howl is pretty broken. Just because, you know, you howl up every time and you heal your team for like max pretty much. But I mean, I thought their concepts were pretty good, and most of the time, like in qualifiers like that, it's your strategies that win out or lose, right? Like for example, I remember after we lost the quals, there was some stuff that we had realized we just didn't really quite understand. But after we had lost the quals, Bobo called me and asked me. We had like a half-hour chat about what to do and stuff, and so I told him like the interactions, because I remember they like first picked Quap into Lina when they played Freedom or some shit, and they got bodied, and I told them like, you can't do that. I think like Lina conceptually as a hero shits on Quap.
You were trying to go over this with Day 9 earlier, right?
Yeah.
You wanted me to pick Quap in our 1v1.
Yeah, I was like, they're just like some heroes that conceptually beat other heroes or match up well, and I think Planet Dog understood that, and it's probably just because they play so many games. Like when you've got guys that are just super motivated and they spam games, they probably like found some shit out there like, hey guys, I think this works well against this. And when you have a good understanding of like meta hero matchups based on what you play in pubs, which pays off, then you're probably going to do okay. Plus they're all high skill players to begin with.
Charlie, you can probably speak to this. How much of a difference is there in a team in a qualifier and then being at TI? Is there, like, you're talking about how strategies went out. Like, do you feel like there's a very large growth period in that window after the qualifiers where people are in Seattle and they're boot camp against each other? Do you feel like the teams end up learning a lot in that period of time?
Absolutely. It's potentially the highest amount of growth because if you look at the lifespan of a team, they're going to be in like what sort of the lifespan of a team and what makes up a team. It's a bunch of teenagers that, I mean, we call them professionals, but a lot of them just aren't quite there yet. So throughout the year, you have motivational issues, you have consistency issues, a lot of different things. But, you know, around TI, when TI comes, it's that time of the year where, you know, that tournament lights a fire under your ass. And a lot of those things that can detract from like a young team throughout the year are sort of mitigated by the fact that this is your last chance at TI. So you have that combination of factors. So everybody is trying a lot harder with the fact that like everybody is at TI. Everybody's scrimming each other. Everyone's like trying out new things and everyone's trying really hard. It creates like the perfect environment for a team to grow in that time. CDEC, TI5, during the qualifiers was a very different team from the CDEC that eventually got second. Like the growth from even when we played them at the beginning of before the tournament started to the very end was like very apparent.
Blitz, you can maybe speak to that as well, right? With Liquid, you got the experience of being a coach behind a team at TI and that little growth period. Do you agree with Charlie?
I mean, I think Liquid at TI, like, we actually regressed, which sounds weird because it's TI, but like TI is just about being relatively consistent to what you did in like throughout the year. And I learned that the hard way with Liquid and Planet Odd is like TI changes things, like the way that your mentality is and stuff like that. Like just it messes with people so hard. It's like the teams that are just kind of stable, they don't, they have a few good concepts. That's all you really need. That's why every year you see a team just like make a deep run, like DC last year, CDC before that. You have some like concept in mind that you're willing to run with and you don't shy away from. It's like, yeah, it might not get you better than second place, which is what happened both times, right? And the better team, quote unquote, ended up winning both tournaments. But at the same time, like, it's going to steer you better than the teams that play super reactionary and go based off of what everyone else is doing and shit like that. It's like you got to innovate some concepts and just kind of keep doing them or whatever.
So it's is it kind of the same reason MVP always did so well in some of these LAN tournaments?
MVP,
they always came up with an idea and they always stayed together and followed through.
So MVP would pick like these 5 running EU heroes, and then they would play around Kyo's hero. No matter what, you're rotating the Kyo's hero every single game. Like we noticed that at Shanghai Major, where like these guys all play around Kyo, and it's such an aggressive style. Like it's really, it's hard to play against because they never falter from it. And so it's really easy to prepare for them, but playing against them is a different thing because sometimes you get run over, right? I remember they played against OG. They picked a 5 melee lineup with a faceless void. I've never seen that before. I was like, this is garbage. Like he's gonna chrono and they're all gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Like it's like Coliseum or some shit. And somehow it works because they pick Spirit Breaker. March used to just tell me like if you run at people, it'll break them. Like conceptually, you're just gonna break. You're gonna break how people play because they get nervous. And when you run at people at a TI or something like that, for some reason everyone just plays bad, right? Because they get scared. And MVP, they're gonna get figured out by better teams, but I mean they got top 6 at like every Valve event that they played as a result, right? Because they had this concept and they just held it throughout the year. It's like, sure, they're predictable, but they did better than a lot of other teams that were so-called really good coming into that tournament, like OG last year, Liquid last year. Like both those teams that did so well throughout the year just flamed out.
I mean, I think OG last year, Liquid last year, like I feel like those two teams were more of an aberration. Like I talked to a lot of people that were involved in those teams after the event, and I mean, I heard like a mix of things from, everyone just choked, or there's just like this fear that gets to you, like at that event. I mean, it's like that's sort of why it's the biggest event, right? It's like it makes the greatest teams or it breaks them.
Moving on to CIS qualifiers. You guys want to talk about that? Na'Vi don't make it out of groups. Empire beat Team Spirit 3-0.
I don't think anyone. I don't know if you guys. I'm pretty sure everyone picked Empire to win that. I think it was between Empire, maybe Vega, and maybe Na'Vi.
Yeah, I ended up going with Na'Vi, but I was like,
come on, man.
Wait, you picked Na'Vi?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care.
Come on, man.
I figured no matter what, it was like a coin flip.
What?
Between Team Empire, Na'Vi, and Vega.
Okay, yeah. Blitz, who'd you pick?
I had Empire.
Okay, good. Just checking.
I would be so surprised if Na'Vi stays together, by the way.
I don't think they will.
I mean, the presumption is most teams at this point, after they fail the qualifiers, aren't going to stay the same going into
I think that team was like a time bomb going in, though. I don't think that team has any trust.
I've heard that they're already looking at changes. So
yeah, I mean, I bet 10 grand right now that at least 2 of their players leave.
Why do you always bet 10 grand on anything? I remember last summit too. You're I bet 10 grand, I can do this, and I'm like, why? Like no one here just wants to throw away 10 grand.
But for sure, Na'Vi like
okay,
100% changes lineup.
Well, changes or is dead. Like,
changes. I don't
how
think-
much
I
he's
don't-
changing?
Well,
I mean-
okay, what do you mean by
I mean,
that?
sure, I'm surely Navi and Dendi are still.
Yeah,
The
I
problem
mean,
is you
do
can't.
some of
The
that.
problem is you can't kick Navi or you can't kick Dendi. But I actually think that would be the best thing for his career right now.
For Dandies.
You think he's
Yeah,
just been too comfortable?
It's weird. It's not. It's like an environment thing, right? It's like somebody once told me that at all times, I think it was Kuro. He said all times players need this inherent fear of being kicked, so that they know that they have to perform. Like their performance is based on everything. And so, like with Dendi, it doesn't exist, right? You go into a team and you know it's Dendi's team, and that's weird. It means that like whatever decisions that you make as a captain or whatever, they have to be run through that guy. So I feel like it would be best for all parties if he wasn't on Navi anymore for his own sake more than anything. But that'll never happen, I feel.
Who knows? I mean, I also feel like he needs to be exposed to different things,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
like different ideas, maybe a different region, whatever. Because he's always been within that CIS sphere. Even though PyCat came in, like this time, it's like he wasn't there for an entire year, and it's only like one guy out of like most of the other people are already from that region as well. So it's,
But I mean, that's on Dendi. I mean, he can. I mean, maybe he has a contract, but he doesn't have to keep re-signing it. I mean, it's on him to leave if he wants.